Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Diana.
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Diane.
Hey, Diana.
Okay, so we're here to discuss Benjamin Franklin. Did you like the book, Diane?
I found the book interesting.
Why?
Because there's a lot of things I didn't know about him.
Such as?
Him being vegetarian, him being somewhat a player, because he flirts with a lot of girls.
Why do you find it interesting that he was a vegetarian, even though they mentioned it once?
Very briefly.
Yeah.
Why? Oh, because I'm a vegetarian, and I care about animals a lot. And it's not common that I find vegetarian people, and knowing that Benjamin Franklin, who is my idol, is vegetarian, made me very, very glad.
I felt that the book was very informative, actually. It gives you different aspects of Benjamin Franklin that you really don't see of him. Before the book, I just really thought of him as inventing or kind of using electricity for the greater good. And after the book, you see him become more of a politician, more of a scientist, more of an inventor, and kind of a diplomat with relations with other countries. What about you, Michelle?
Before, when I just knew about Benjamin Franklin, I thought of him as a person to thank for having electricity, and he's the reason I can do homework at night. But now that I actually read the book, I think he's a bad person, but with really good intentions. As when he married Deborah, it was a good intention because he actually did love her, but it made him seem like a bad person because he would flirt with a whole bunch of women. So yeah.
For me, I don't think he kind of did marry Deborah because he loved her. I thought he kind of just married her because he didn't really love her, but he settled for her. He couldn't really find anyone else to marry. And I felt like that if he didn't find a woman soon enough, then he would be kind of alone and basically alone. But then you see after when he marries Deborah, he basically meets women like Polly, other affairs that he's involved with. But I feel like he wouldn't have been in the same situation if he had married Polly or anyone else that he had an affair with, if he hadn't been married to Deborah.
I had a different take. I thought he just flirted with the women because it was a fun and lively thing to do. But he did love Deborah. So I didn't see him as a player or anything. It was just
He liked to have fun.
Like a hobby.
You think that having affairs is a hobby?
No, it was companionship. It wasn't having affairs.
I think you realized at a point that what he was basically doing to Deborah was wrong, and he kind of tried making it in a way a right. So when he died and he got buried right next to Deborah, and I feel like he kind of saw it as a way he had to make it up for her for not being there when she had a stroke, or for not being there after she had the stroke and when she was sick, or when she died. I feel like he kind of felt guilty about it, and he kind of tried to make up for it. So
okay, how do you guys feel about Benjamin Franklin telling everyone to get a smallpox shot after his son died from smallpox? Do you think he's being kind of a hypocrite because he didn't give it to his son, but he's telling other people to do it?
That's one thing that they talk about the book, because I think Franklin did it but I think after his son died, he saw it it was necessary and that nobody should really go through that, through that sorrow and pain that Franklin went after losing his son. So yeah, he kind of is seen as a hypocrite in the book, but he did it with good intentions.
And you know how people said that Benjamin Franklin would be a better inventor or scientist if he had better education? Do you guys think that's true? If he had the right education, he would actually be a better scientist? Or not scientist because he isn't a scientist, but an inventor?
I think so, because when you learn more specifically about a topic, you become more interested. And I feel Benjamin was the kind of guy who would get into all the details instead of just worrying about the broad and general picture of creating stuff that would do, like instead of inventing something that, like instead of stopping at an invention, he wouldn't like, go further into the invention, like try to make it better or.
So I feel like you kind of would have seen Franklin have more education in like mathematics and science and whatnot if his father would have let him gone to
Harvard.
Yeah.
Harvard, yeah.
Like in the book, it just tells him he just makes practical inventions and then he would leave it at that. He wouldn't progress, right?
But then again, I kind of see that Franklin wasn't really of a type to consume much time into an invention when, like,
Because-
that could help people, like,
I think he just did it like fun, like a hobby.
I think
Yeah,
he did it
he
more
used
to
it-
help the people rather than to, like,
for himself.
take credit for it and make money off of it.
Well, yeah, but I feel like, okay, because of his education, he was only able to make practical inventions, right? He didn't get into specifics, like more detailed inventions. I feel like if he had the education, he would go into specifics.
I think if he had that education, he would like make better inventions, but he wouldn't like make it his main focus because it seems like Benjamin gets distracted a lot.
My favorite thing about Franklin was that he sought for compromise in every situation. He kind of had this idea of a society where he wanted everybody to be fair and equal, but he realized in certain situations it wasn't always going to be like that, like his own way. So he tried to compromise for it, such as when like the United States is trying to become allies with France, and they basically tell him that they can't be allies if they're like allies with Britain, and if they're not allies with Britain, then they can't be allies with France. And he kind of like tries to settle in between the two in a way to kind of like express his neutrality in each of the situations.
My favorite thing about Franklin was that he's a good role model for people who started off poor or like are runaways. Like I know most runaways don't think about stuff like this, but Benjamin Franklin did. He ran away for a good reason. And like he ran away and he had nothing for himself, but he showed everyone he could achieve something. And I think that's being a good role model, because you're showing like even if you don't have anything, like you can make something out of yourself.